Hey Optimancers! Every year I release anywhere from 100 to 150 videos, and some of them get lots of attention, and others fall to the wayside. But are all those videos the best I can possibly do? Of course they are! They're all like my children, and no, they aren't. And yes, I look back at some, and I think I should have done them differently, or maybe not at all. So I scoured through my videos over this past year and put together my top 10 regrets. Before we get started though, a quick honorary mention to this video, which is capitalizing on the top 10 this or that of the year trends. So shame on me. Tie, number 10 and 9. So number 10 and 9 get a tie. Interestingly, these are two of my top performing videos of the year. But I did a two-part series on whether you should put full plate on your monk. It started with me going through the monk features and noticing that most of them have no requirement that you aren't wearing armor. So I figured, hey, that's interesting. Maybe you can make a decent monk wearing armor. So I made one video asking that question, and then a follow-up video where I actually tried to make a build with a fully armored monk. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't very good. Now I still think it's interesting that a lot of monk features have no armor restriction, but hey, this is interesting, but it doesn't really change anything, is probably a single tighter video than one video of speculation and another of taking my own speculation apart. These aren't terrible videos, but looking back, spreading this topic over two videos makes me think I wasn't sitting on a bunch of video topics that interested me at the time. Number 8. That brings us to number 8, the ThinkDM monk fix. If you notice anything in common about our first three entries, that's the problem. I think there were lots of interesting ideas in the ThinkDM document that I went through in the video, but I also think maybe I wasn't the right person to highlight them. I think I've exhausted myself talking about the monk, and I think I already had before I made this video. I don't expect I'll be making any more videos on the 5th edition monk. Now, the 1D&D monk, that's another story. Number 7. Number 7 is my Conjure Woodland Beings guide. So this video is basically me saying, hey, you know that spell we all know is powerful, but you don't hear it talked about much because people don't really care? Let's analyze the heck out of it. Turns out that wasn't a super hot topic. Looking back, not sure why this one made it beyond the brainstorming page. Number 6. Now number 6 is actually a video I made that I personally really enjoy and enjoyed making. But looking back, was me not really getting my own audience. The healer build, Wild Magic and Fiend Patron. I had done a video going over combining Life Cleric with Aura Vitality, and I knew the build I was going to make would utilize Warlock to get extra castings of Aura Vitality with short rest recovered pack slots. Then I came up with a concept I thought was hilarious. The overly attached Girl Fiend. The bad pun was even built in. That's totally on brand for me. Unfortunately, what was also on brand for me was using something from 10 years ago, because I'm old, as the central focus of the video. Turns out when over 80% of your audience is significantly younger than you, they don't have the same appreciation for things that are from back in your day. Girl Fiend. Number 5. Number 5 is my Is Vecna Too Weak video. Basically, reading the stat block, I noticed that Vecna has a fatal flaw. He's really vulnerable to ranged weapon attacks. Now, that on its own is interesting, and I think worthy of a video to highlight what I think is probably something that should have been considered on a challenge rating 26 creature. Also, the extra reaction thing, I just don't think it makes up for not having legendary actions, and that really sticks out when the 5 challenge rating lower non-Arc Lich has them. So there's the video, or at least there's what the video should have been. Instead, I show how some pretty average at best archers in a small party can beat Vecna in round 1 without the context that that victory is because Vecna has one Achilles heel. And instead, I kind of presented it as this general thing, and that's bad information. What I should have done, and wish I had done, is made it clear that Vecna has this one easily exploitable weakness that he probably shouldn't have, and then showed the example. So here's the context I should have provided. Vecna is too weak. at least against bows and crossbows and potentially slings and so on. Against casters, he's pretty good, and against melee characters, he's okay. Tie, number 4 and 3. Number 4 and 3 are tied for my expert classes Rogue and Bard first impression videos with Terran. Everybody reacts to things as they read it, but often those impressions change once you read the whole thing, because context. Now, I was a bit rushed for content on those new playtest classes because the one D&D playtest dropped right in the middle of a visit from my parents who traveled about 2,500 miles or 4,000 kilometers to come visit me and see my new home, and I wanted to interrupt that as little as possible. So doing first impression reading, especially with Terran kindly doing the editing, really took care of that. But my first impressions are bad, especially with these two classes. We reviewed the Ranger 2, and I thought that video was a bit better, enough to not make it to this list. But when I had time to read, reread, and consider the whole document, my opinions changed, and so this ends up being rushed content. It's not the kind of content I'm proud of, and I think from now on, if content needs to be rushed, then maybe I should just skip it. Like, when a 1D&D playtest is dropped, we YouTubers are rushing like mad to get content out while that topic is still hot, because it does get more views, but you also have to look back on it, and in this case, cringe a bit. Number 2. Number 2 is jumping in D&D, and maybe that's enough said. Jumping does not have clearly written rules, there's a lot of vague stuff, and largely it's going to come down to what your DM thinks is reasonable. I'm trying to remember why I thought this was a worthy video topic, and I am coming up blank. This is one case where the performance of the video really reflects the quality of the topic. And number 1. Number 1 is 5 things I hate about D&D reaction video. Someone sent me a video and asked me to react to it, and so I brought up the video, got my camera going, and started recording. As I'm watching the video, then I'm realizing this isn't a good video, and there is bad take after bad take. Some at the end were so bad, I ended up cutting that part out because I didn't even want my viewers to see it. Now, as I edited the video, I was overall pretty satisfied with my reaction. I thought I raised good points in response to these takes, but this is where I screwed up. You can make this kind of reaction video if the video you're reacting to is from a big channel or has a ton of views. But when the channel is small and the video is largely unseen, then that video has to be good or raise interesting points before I should be posting a reaction. It wasn't fair of me to rip apart his video when he's just a guy with a tiny channel making videos for a small audience. Next time I find myself in this situation, I'm just going to turn the camera off and delete the file. So, did I do the whole top 10 of the year video thing right? No idea. But either way, I wish you and your families a happy new year and a great 2023. Until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks everybody, and I will talk to you next year.